Welcome to this week's edition of VIP University's very important presentation. Today we're going to be talking about Thanksgiving, everybody's favorite holiday, where you can fill yourselves to the brim and not feel bad about it. It's that awkward space between Halloween and Christmas. So let's learn a little bit more about this festive holiday. Gobble gobble! So how did Thanksgiving begin? Well, it all started when this man named Mr. Macy bought a bunch of huge balloons, and he wanted to show them off. He bought these balloons because it was the space between Halloween and Christmas, and he always got really depressed. He wanted to change that. Because he was inviting so many people over to look at his balloons, he asked them to bring over their own side dishes. This was the first potluck. He also invited very young versions of Al Roker, Ryan Seacrest, and Dick Clark. So what did they eat on that first Thanksgiving day? Well, Mr. Macy's drunk uncle brought a bunch of soggy bread, and thus was born stuffing. Also, his father, who had been through the war, brought a live turkey and slaughtered it in front of everybody. Also, Cousin Leroy brought black licorice and was asked to go home. After they were done with their feast, they just straight up ate a whole pumpkin. So why is it called Thanksgiving? Well, it all started when Aunt Susan said how grateful she was to have everybody there feasting in the same room. Al Roker, who was particularly plump that day, also told how grateful he was, and he suggested that everybody around the room should do the same. After hours of boring speeches, Mr. Macy said, "Let's call today Grateful's Giving." Nobody liked that suggestion, so they burned him to death for being a heretic. Ryan Seacrest then said, "Let's call it Thanksgiving," and the name stuck. So why is it celebrated on the fourth Thursday of every November? Well, that's because nothing good ever happened on a Thursday, so why not? And because there was nothing better to do, and because Black Friday was already taken. So why is it called Black Friday? Well, everybody was really bored of hanging out together on Thursday, so on Friday they said, hey, let's go shopping. And since this is 1709 we're talking about, there was only one store, and that was called Ye Olde Walmart. And back then, Ye Olde Walmart only sold walls. But to entice more crowds to show up, they sold their walls for half off. This created an influx of guests, creating panic, and people were trampled to death upon entering the store. This is a tradition that continues to this day in American consumerism. Upon being finished with shopping, they went home and disposed of Mr. Macy's blackened, burned body, and thus the name Black Friday was born. So what's on my wish list for this Black Friday? Now don't feel obligated, but if you do want to buy something for me, you can. Of course, don't feel obligated. But I am very poor and I'm going through a rough time in my life. But don't feel obligated. However, if you do want to get me something, I would love a pair of knee-high diabetic socks. Not because I'm diabetic, but because I think they're fashionable and comfortable. Additionally, I would love some denture cleaning tablets, not because I wear dentures, but because I use them to clean my cat's filthy, filthy paws. And of course, in this season of Goodwill, I would love a gift card to Goodwill because I am in need of a sweater that smells like old spoiled milk and a beanie that has someone else's dandruff tangled within its fibers. Today, Thanksgiving is celebrated by Americans throughout the country. Some people do a ham. Some people do a turkey. Some people do a tofurkey. Some people do a depressing hungry man meal while sitting alone in their tiny studio apartment. Whatever they choose, I hope that they have a great Thanksgiving. Thank you for watching this week's very important presentation from VIP University. I hope you learned a lot. And of course, I hope you come back next week to learn more. Remember, if you subscribe to us, you can become smart, perhaps even as smart as Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us.